Unit 7 Prose, A Birthday Letter. The author of this lesson is none other than a very well-known personality, Jawaharlal Nehru. Before we get into our lesson, let us just see few things about Jawaharlal Nehru. He was born on 14th November in the year 1889, and he was also known as Pandit Nehru. Well, we all know that children call him as Uncle Nehru, in Hindi Chacha Nehru, or in Tamil Nehru Mama. Yes, I hope you know that. He was the first Prime Minister of India, and a special thing about him is that he is considered to be the architect of modern Indian nation state. Yes, and he died on 27th of May in the year 1964. Moving from there, a few things that I want you to recall. Have you ever received a personal letter from your friends or relatives? Well, if it is yes, then from whom and about what? I just want you to think. Have you ever written a personal letter to anyone? Maybe to your friend or your parents, your relatives? If yes, to whom and about what? We all know that earlier people used to send messages through letters, right? As days went by, we had cell phones coming in where people started conversing through the cell phones. And now, today, if you have to share a message or say something to somebody, what is the means that you use? Yes, you use your WhatsApp, your social media accounts like your Instagram or Facebook, or even if you want to wish somebody or say something, we either keep a status or story, or we might just send them a text, right? Okay, this story is about a birthday letter. So we understand that there is somebody who has written this letter and somebody who is receiving this letter. So now it was in summer of 1928, in the year 1928, Jawaharlal Nehru, he starts writing letters to his young daughter. And who was his daughter? It was Indira. And Indira at that time, she was living in the place called Mussoorie. And in his letters, he used to speak to his daughter on a wide range of topics like languages, trade, history, geography, science, epics, and evolution. And when Indra was almost about to turn 13, like almost of your age, in the year 1930, Nehru started sending her more detailed letters, right? And these letters, what was that detail? If we need to ask a question like that, well, those letters contained his understanding of the world, right? Our parents, they usually are experienced than us, isn't it? So they share their experiences with us. So they have a better understanding of the world that we live in. Similarly, Nehru also shared this thing to his daughter. He imparted this understanding of the world with his daughter. And actually, he was not in a comfortable position in his house, sitting on his sofa, sipping a hot drink and writing this letter. No, he was, when he wrote these letters, he was in the prison. Yes. And why did he do so? Why did he write letters sitting in a prison? Well, it was only that the only reason was that he didn't want his daughter to be devoid of all the father's teachings. That means he didn't want his daughter to miss anything that he wanted to teach him. So, did he write it once, twice, or did he write for a month or two or a year? Well, it is said that he is in the prison for 4 years, and he continuously wrote to his daughter from the prison, and his words are still inspiring. It is said that he was not in only a particular single jail for 4 years. No, he was shifted to many different jails. So he had to be in various prisons in British India, and he wrote these letters to Indira. And these letters in the year 1942, they were published as a book. And the book was named as Glimpses of World History. And can you imagine how many letters did that book contain? Well, it was not 1, 2 or 10 or 20. It was a collection of 196 letters on world history. Okay, so at this point, we might think, what did he write to his daughter in that letter? So let's get into the letter and read what Jawaharlal had written for Indira. Okay, he was now in central prison in Naini, a place called Naini, and this letter was written on October 26 in the year 1930. So he addresses to his daughter, my dear Indira. So he says that on your birthday, you have been in the habit of receiving presents and good wishes. So he says we all receive presents and good wishes on our birthday, right? Yes. So he says that good wishes will be received in full measure. So you will have good wishes. But what present can I send you from a prison? Well, my presents cannot be very material or solid. So he says that his present can be of the mind and spirit. That means you can only feel it. You can only understand what he is wanting to send his daughter. So he further says that he is going to send such a thing that even the high walls of the prison cannot stop. It cannot hinder, or it cannot be an obstacle. That's what he says here. Okay. Moving forward, he says, oh, my dear child, or sweetheart, how I dislike. So there was something that he disliked. That means sermonizing or dueling. Dueling means to distribute shares of something, like sharing something, that especially good advice. So he says, I don't just want to give you a lecture or a sermon or just give you advice, because that he has always a thought that the best way to find out what is right and what is not right, and what should be done and what should not be done, is not by giving a sermon, but by talking and discussing. And he says, when we sit and talk or discuss, little bit of truth comes out. So he says that I have liked my talks with you and we have discussed many things. But the world is wide, and beyond our world lie other wonderful and mysterious worlds. So he's trying to tell his daughter that there are so many things in life that it's beyond what we really know. And he says that none of us need ever be bored or imagine that we have learned everything. No one can say that I have learned everything. There is so much to learn every day. And thus we can become wise. And now he comes again and he says, okay, that's all fine what I'm saying. But what am I to do then? What should I do now? Like, what's next? He says. So he says a letter can hardly take the place of a talk. Okay, let me ask you a question, children. What would you prefer? Would you prefer your friend just sending you a greeting card and writing some birthday wishes to you? Or will you like your friend to come to your house, meet you and sit next to you and talk to you in person? Yes, I get that answer. We all would expect our friend to come home, sit with us and talk to us face to face, right? So he says that a letter cannot take the place of a talk like that, but at best is just a one-sided affair, right? He says. So imagine, now he's asking his daughter to imagine that he has made a suggestion to Indira and he asks her to think over as if they were really having a talk. So he says, this is not just a letter, but I want you to imagine that we are sitting and we are talking to each other face to face. And now he starts telling few things in this letter. He says, in history, we read of great periods in the life of nations, right? Of great men and women. And he immediately asked, do you remember how fascinated you were, Indra, when you first read the story of Joan of Arc? Okay, a famous personality, and how your ambition was to be something like her. Yes, and he says ordinary men and women are not usually heroic, right? Ordinary people, will you call everybody a hero? No. Ordinary people are not called heroes, okay? They think of their bread and butter, of their children, of their household worries, and they like, right? All those things they keep thinking. But a time comes when a whole people become interested in a great cause, right? Then history helps even simple ordinary men and women to become heroes. So let's come to a pause over here. We'll continue the story in the next class. I hope you have understood the story till here, and I want you to go through what we have learned and pay special attention over the new words, difficult words that you find, and refer the dictionary for the correct meanings and try to apply it in your lives. Okay, let's meet in the next class. Thank you, children.